What if anxiety isn't something you're meant to run from, but something you can learn to command? In a world filled with uncertainty, stress and worry have quietly become part of everyday life. Yet more than 2,000 years ago, the Stoics discovered principles that helped them remain steady in the face of fear, chaos, and the unknown. Today, we'll explore 10 powerful Stoic strategies that address anxiety at its root, by reshaping how you think, not just how you cope. These aren't empty motivational slogans or surface-level advice. They're time-tested philosophies practiced by some of history's most disciplined minds, thinkers, warriors, and leaders alike. And remarkably, they're just as effective now as they were in ancient Rome. So if anxiety has you trapped in endless what-ifs, overwhelmed by uncertainty or frozen by fear, stay with me, because Stoic wisdom offers real, lasting answers. 1. Accept what you cannot control. Anxiety is a relentless whisper in the back of our minds, convincing us that if we just think hard enough, stress enough, or plan far enough ahead, we can control everything. But control is an illusion. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. Epictetus reminds us, when you accept that certain things, people's opinions, the weather, market crashes, or even your own past, are beyond your grasp, anxiety loses its fuel. Imagine you're stuck in traffic, running late for an important meeting. The old version of you might grip the steering wheel, fume at the red lights, or curse the slow driver ahead. But what if instead you use this moment to practice acceptance? You can't change the traffic. You can only control your reaction. Take a deep breath. Listen to a podcast. Appreciate the time as a rare pause in your day. The stress won't get you there faster, but it will ruin your mood when you do arrive. Modern life bombards us with uncertainty, job stability, relationships, global events. We often carry the weight of the world on our shoulders, mistakenly believing it's our burden to bear. The truth is, no amount of worry will dictate the outcome of forces beyond us. What will happen, will happen. A Stoic focuses on their own actions, their own choices. When anxiety creeps in, ask yourself, am I wasting my energy on something outside my control? If the answer is yes, let it go. Accepting this isn't defeat, it's the ultimate freedom. 2. Practice negative visualization. Anxiety often comes from resisting the idea that something might go wrong, failure, rejection, loss. We avoid these thoughts, believing that not thinking about them will keep us safe. But the Stoics taught the opposite. Seneca wrote that by anticipating difficulties, we strip them of their power. When you calmly imagine the worst-case scenario and accept it, fear begins to loosen its grip. If a speech goes badly, you may stumble or feel embarrassed, but you won't be destroyed. Life continues. Most people forget, and once you realize you can endure the outcome, anxiety loses its hold. In a culture obsessed with constant positivity, this may seem strange, but negative visualization isn't pessimism, it's preparation. It builds resilience, flexibility, and inner calm. Anxiety thrives on the unknown. When you make the unknown familiar, you stop fearing it and start facing life with steady confidence. 3. Ground yourself in the present moments. Anxiety is a thief. It robs us of the only thing we truly have, the present moment. Wild animals run from the dangers they actually see, and once they have escaped, they worry no more. We, however, are tormented alike by what is past and what is to come, Seneca observed. A lion runs from a predator, but when the danger is gone, it does not sit in the grass, ruminating about what could have happened. Humans, on the other hand, replay past failures and obsess over future problems that may never come. Consider a modern-day example. You're lying in bed, unable to sleep, thinking about an upcoming presentation. You imagine every way it could go wrong. Then your mind shifts to the past, to that embarrassing moment in high school when you stumbled over your words. Your heart races, your chest tightens, and yet at this moment, lying in your bed, none of these threats are real. Your body is responding to imaginary dangers. The mind is an incredible tool, but when left unchecked, it creates unnecessary suffering. The way out is presence. A Stoic would recognize the symptoms of anxious thinking and gently return to the now. What is real in this moment? The feeling of the blanket against your skin, the sound of your breath, the air moving in and out of your lungs. Anxiety lives in the past and the future, but peace only exists in the present. The more you train yourself to return to this moment, the less control your worries will have over you. 4. Use reason to dismantle fear. Anxiety often disguises itself as truth. It whispers in your ear, "You're not good enough. This will end badly. People will judge you." But the Stoics teach us that most of our fears are just distortions of reality. Man is not worried by real problems so much as by his imagined anxieties about real problems, Epictetus explains. We don't fear reality, we fear our thoughts about reality. A Stoic approaches anxiety the way a scientist approaches a hypothesis, with curiosity, not blind acceptance. Imagine you're dreading a difficult conversation with your boss. Your mind floods with worst-case scenarios. You'll be fired, humiliated, left struggling to pay rent. But if you step back and analyze your fear, you'll likely see it for what it is, an exaggeration. What are the actual chances of your worst fear coming true? And even if it did, would it really be as catastrophic as your mind suggests? Anxiety thrives on vagueness. The moment you bring logic into the equation, its power diminishes. Write down your fear, question it, challenge it. You'll often find that what seemed overwhelming in your mind is far less terrifying when examined rationally. The goal isn't to eliminate all fear, that would be impossible. The goal is to see fear clearly, so it no longer controls you. 5. View anxiety as a training ground for strength. When anxiety strikes, most people see it as a weakness. A Stoic sees it as an opportunity. Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body, Seneca reminds us. Just as a muscle grows stronger under resistance, so does the mind when it faces discomfort head-on. A modern-day Stoic doesn't run from anxiety, they use it as training. Consider an athlete preparing for a marathon. They don't avoid difficult runs because they're uncomfortable. They embrace them because they know struggle is the only way to build endurance. The same principle applies to the mind. Each time you face an anxious situation and move through it, you prove to yourself that you can handle more than you thought. Think about a time when anxiety made you hesitate. Maybe asking someone out, applying for a job, or speaking up in a meeting. If you backed down, anxiety won. But if you pushed through, you emerged stronger. That moment of discomfort was your training. Over time, repeated exposure builds resilience. A Stoic welcomes this process. The mind, like the body, grows under pressure. The next time anxiety creeps in, don't see it as a curse. See it as a chance to develop unshakable strength. 6. Practice voluntary discomfort. Most people spend their lives avoiding discomfort at all costs. The Stoics, however, sought it out. They understood that comfort breeds weakness, while controlled hardship builds resilience. Set aside now and then a number of days during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself the while, "Is this the condition that I feared?" Seneca advised. When you deliberately experience discomfort, you realize that most of your fears are overblown. In modern life, we have so many luxuries that even minor inconveniences, slow Wi-Fi, an unreturned text, a delayed flight, can trigger frustration and anxiety. A Stoic disrupts this pattern. Imagine fasting for a day, sleeping on the floor for a night, or taking a cold shower. These small acts remind you that you can endure more than you think. You voluntarily experience struggle so that when life inevitably delivers real hardship, you're already prepared. More importantly, voluntary discomfort breaks the hold that material comforts have over you. If you know you can get by on little, you become less fearful of losing what you have. You stop living in constant anxiety about money, status, or possessions. Instead, you cultivate a sense of inner security, one that no external circumstance can take away. 7. Write your thoughts down to gain clarity. Anxiety thrives in the shadows of the mind. When your worries remain unspoken and undefined, they feel massive, like an approaching storm with no clear direction. But Stoicism teaches that one of the most powerful ways to dismantle anxiety is to confront it on paper. No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself, Seneca observed. Writing forces you to face your thoughts head-on, and in doing so, you take away their power. A modern Stoic understands that journaling isn't just a tool for recording events. It's a weapon against chaos. Suppose you're feeling anxious about an upcoming decision. Instead of letting your mind race with possibilities, you sit down and write. What exactly are you afraid of? What is the worst that could happen? How would you handle it? More often than not, this process reveals that your fears are exaggerated and you're far more capable than you thought. Writing also helps track patterns in your thinking. If you notice the same worries appearing again and again, you can begin to address them at their root. It's easy to get lost in a spiral of anxious thoughts, but words on a page create structure. They force clarity, and clarity is the enemy of anxiety. 8. Remind yourself that everything is temporary. Anxiety often arises from the illusion that pain, struggle, and uncertainty will last forever. But the Stoics remind us that nothing good or bad is permanent. All things human are short-lived and perishable. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "No matter how intense your anxiety feels in this moment, it will pass. No storm lasts forever." A modern Stoic applies this wisdom by stepping back and seeing the bigger picture. Think about the last time you were deeply worried about something. Maybe a job interview, a difficult conversation, or a financial setback. At the time, it felt overwhelming, but now it's just a memory. The same will be true for today's worries. When anxiety grips you, remind yourself, this is temporary. I have faced difficulties before, and I will face them again, and each time they pass. Even the worst moments of life, heartbreak, failure, loss, eventually fade into the past. Just as winter turns to spring, every hardship gives way to something new. This perspective doesn't just reduce anxiety, it builds confidence. If you truly accept that everything is temporary, you stop resisting change and start embracing life as it unfolds. You learn to ride the waves instead of being crushed by them, and in that acceptance, you find peace. 9. Adopt a bigger perspective. Anxiety thrives in the narrowness of our personal struggles. When we are consumed by our own problems, they seem insurmountable, but Stoicism teaches us to zoom out. Look at everything that exists and observe that it is already dissolving, changing, and being replaced. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When we step back and see ourselves as just one small part of a vast, ever-changing universe, our anxieties lose their weight." A modern Stoic understands this principle well. Imagine you're overwhelmed by stress at work. Deadlines pile up, your boss is demanding, and the pressure feels unbearable. But take a moment to shift perspectives. In the grand scheme of your life, will this deadline matter in 5 years? Probably not. Expand even further. Will it matter in 50 years? In 100? The Earth has existed for billions of years. Civilizations have risen and fallen. Entire galaxies are forming and disappearing as you read this. In that vast timeline, your current stress is insignificant. This isn't meant to make you feel small, it's meant to liberate you. When you see how fleeting everything is, you stop gripping so tightly to worries that don't deserve your energy. You approach life with more detachment, more peace. The next time anxiety grips you, ask yourself, from the perspective of a year, 5 years, or the universe itself, how much does this really matter? More often than not, the answer is not as much as you think. 10. Focus on your duty, not your worries. Anxiety keeps us trapped in our thoughts, reliving the past, fearing the future, and hesitating when action is required. Marcus Aurelius reminds us not to let our minds be crushed by life as a whole or by imagining every possible disaster. Instead, stay with the moment in front of you. The Stoics understood that anxiety isn't solved through endless thinking, but through deliberate action. Worry drains your strength, preparation directs it. When something concerns you, focus on what's within your control and take the next right step. This applies to every part of life. If your health worries you, care for your body. If a conversation weighs on you, have it. If uncertainty creates fear, meet it with effort and discipline. Anxiety is often a signal, not to withdraw, but to move forward. Ask yourself, what is my duty right now? Not tomorrow, not later, right now. You don't need a life free of stress to be calm. By focusing on what you can control, accepting discomfort, and remembering that everything is temporary, you build resilience that no external challenge can shake. That is the strength Stoicism offers, and the peace that follows when fear no longer leads your life.